Hari Ram, Ram Ram, Hari Hari.
Thank you so much.
Srila Prabhupada ki.
Thank you so much, His Grace Jananivas Prabhu and Pankanjanghri Prabhu, for coming on today. We are live.
This is Jananivas and this is Panka. The name is on the other way around on our screen.
And we'll make sure we'll change that round as we speak. And just everybody, welcome to another session of Prabhupada Memoirs, where we'll be talking about Srila Prabhupada in the early days with his direct disciples. Here we have Pankanjanghri Prabhu, who is on our left, and Jananivas Prabhu, who is on our right. And both of them have been serving since the very start, close to the very start of the inception of Sri Mayapur Dham in 1972. So we're looking at over 48 years, which is amazing. So Prabhu, how is everything over there? I know we started a little bit later. Is the internet okay? Is the power okay? How's the transcendental activities going on right now there?
The electricity just went off for about 10 minutes. That's why we only just joined, because we just had a little rain, a lot of rain, and when it rains around here, things change. So it may go off again. There's no saying.
That's fine. We'll work with it. And thank you for everyone that's logged in from the different channels. Really appreciate you being here today. So if I could start, you're both actually, because I'm from the UK, you're actually from the UK originally, from a place called Birmingham, if I'm correct. Am I right in that?
No, Barnet.
Barnet.
Near the manor.
Near the manor.
Manor.
So Barnet, I got the B, so I felt like, oh, make it to Birmingham, but yes, Barnet. So from London, when did you actually, if I can ask, because I think Jananivas Prabhu and then Pankanjanghri Prabhu came, when did you actually travel to Mayapur Dham the first time?
In 1972, February. We were going to have the first International Society for Krishna Consciousness Gaur Purnima Festival, Sri Dham Mayapur. 1972. So I was one of the advance party. I was cooking for the devotees, and the other devotees were making arrangements for pandals and tents and things like that. So that was February 1972 I first came.
Wow. And Pankanjanghri Prabhu, when did you meet? When did you come yourself to Mayapur Dham?
Well, I came in 72 also to visit Jananivas. I mean, we were already in India at that time, so I came to see him, and I stayed for a week in 72, and then I went back to the UK, and I got initiated in 73 in the manor, and then I came back in beginning of 74, Gaur Purnima.
Wow. Like Gaur Purnima had a proper significance for both of you. And Srila Prabhupada, of course, the saying goes that Mayapur was his place of worship, Mumbai was his office, and Vrindavan was his home. And both of you are head pujaris looking after Sri Dham Mayapur and the deities with your big team there. So in the inception days, when Srila Prabhupada was there and you were both there, can you recall the first type of instructions that Srila Prabhupada gave to you and how Mayapur Dham was at that time, just for the audience that may have not remembered that back, how it was then?
Jananivas knew everyone who passed on the street in 1972.
Yeah, there was it was like just rice fields here. Wherever you were in Mayapur, you could look on the eastern side, you could see the Jog Pit. You look the other side, you could see the Ganga. Look the other side, you see Bhaktivinoda Thakur's house. There was nothing. One or two temples, Gaudiya Math temples. Otherwise, it was all just rice fields here. And Bhavananda Prabhu, he said to Prabhupada, you were sitting here, we're from big cities around the world, and we're sitting in these rice fields in Mayapur, and you're telling us to build a big temple and a city here. Prabhupada, where will all the money come from? Prabhupada started laughing. He said, our Bhavananda is always worried. Where will money come from?
Yeah.
He said, but here you have Radha Madhava. Madhava means the husband, the goddess of fortune. So you worship Madhava nicely, you won't have any problem for money. Shri Radha Madhava Ju ki jai.
Yeah, amazing. And actually, I was hearing, because there was a budget in those days for the, for the bhoga and for the sandesh, for the deities.
Oh, yeah.
Can you kindly let everyone know, because now, and I'm going to come on to later how amazing it is, but in those days, how much was that budget for Radha Madhav Sandesh?
The Sandesh, we were buying from Navadvip, but the budget for the Sandesh budget was 1 rupee 75 pies. And we buy 2 pieces. 2 pieces. So
Wow.
2 rupees 50. 2 rupees 50. Then I would, for every offering, I would cut those Sandesh up into how many offerings we're having a day, 5, 6 offerings. I would cut the sections off and like that. But they tasted like nectar.
Wow. And that building itself, the Bhajan Kutir, if I'm correct, that's where Radha Madhava were originally. Is that correct? And how was that?
Yeah, they came here for Gaur Purnima 1972. Then at the end of that festival, it was a big success. About 70 devotees, mostly from America, came. But many of Prabhupada's godbrothers came. Prabhupada himself laid the foundation stone for the TOVP. Personally, he climbed down into the pit, 10, 15 feet deep, laid an Amtadev Shesh to support the project. And what was the question?
The actual Radha Madhava.
That's right. I got it. So Radha Madhava, they were in Calcutta temple with Radha Govindaji. So then the devotees said, we'll take Radha Madhava to Mayapur because we have no deities there. So they brought Radha Madhava, small Radha Madhava, to Sri Dham Mayapur, and they presided over the festival. So when the festival was finished, all the devotees were going back to their different countries, and Prabhupada said, where is Radha Madhava? They said, Srila Prabhupada, we put them in the trunk and we're going to take them back to Calcutta. He said, no, now they're here, they should stay here. They should not go. And we said, where do they stay, Prabhupada? And he said, where are you staying? We said, well, we've only got the Bhajan Kutir here. So the devotees were staying. He said, that's okay, they can stay in the Bhajan Kutir also until we build a temple for them. So they were staying there in the Bhajan Kutir, and Prabhupada was also living in the Bhajan Kutir. A few devotees. No electricity, no running water, no lavatory. We used to have just a house made of jute sticks, a little like a hut with a hole in the ground. That's Prabhupada's bathroom.
Wow. That sounds very austere. Considering
it was
now.
really austere.
It wasn't austere.
It was austere, but we loved it.
Austerity means when you've got a choice, then it can be austere. But when there's no choice, that's all there is. Then it's not really an austerity. That's the best there is.
There we go. Quote that, everybody. Austerity is when you have a choice. When there is no choice, there's no austerity. I love that. No. So, Pankanjanghri Prabhu, when you were you came to Mayapur Dham, And as you know, both of you are the head pujaris of ISKCON Mayapur. So how did that happen for yourselves? Was this something that was inclination? Was it Srila Prabhupada directing you? I would love to hear about that.
Shall I tell you, speak for both of us? Jananivas, he was cooking and he was watching the pujari. There was one pujari who did everything. So he thought that pujari is 100% all day just engaged serving Krishna. Such a lovely, such a nice service, such a nice way to become Krishna conscious. I'd like that. A couple of days later, Bhavananda said that this pujari is leaving, you're the next pujari. I go. And when I came in 74, the managers asked me, what would you like to do? Because I said I wanted to stay in Mayapur. I said, I can help Jananivas. They said, Jagannatha said, okay, very good idea. So I was kind of assisting. I started to assist Jananivas. I didn't have the Brahmin initiation then. I got it later on in the year. So that was my introduction there.
Wow. So, and I recollect a story about Srila Prabhupada where he instructed you on deity worship itself. And this is now, you are carrying this on. So can you tell us a little bit about, or as much as you can, about those instructions and how that came about with Srila Prabhupada talking about deity worship to you both?
Okay, so the Prabhupada was in the Bhajan Kutir. He was talking with the managers, and I was just sitting there at Prabhupada's feet and just listening. And in the conversation, Prabhupada stopped and he said to the managers, he said that this boy, Jananivas, he must have some help. He can't do everything. He is an ordinary person. Because I was only one pujari there then. He is an ordinary person. He must have help. And he looked at me and he said, so you should train up pujaris. I said, yes, Srila Prabhupada. I didn't, we never had any sense of training, just bathing and offering. We had no mantras or anything in those days. I didn't know what he's talking about. And he said, train up pujaris. There was no one there. So I said, yes, Srila Prabhupada. Then he continues his conversation again with Prabhupada. Then again he looks at Prabhupada. He said, no, he looked at me and he said, so you train up pujaris? I said, yes, Srila Prabhupada. I would have forgotten, I think. He told me twice, but I would have forgotten, I believe. But anyway, then we finished the conversation. We were leaving, like I was walking out the Bhajan Kutir. I had one foot inside, one foot outside. And I heard, train up pujaris. You hear me? I said, yes, Srila Prabhupada. So I remembered because he told me 3 times. It's very auspicious to get instruction three times.
Wow.
So he did ask me instruct me on some things. He asked me one time, how you're worshipping the deity? And I was giving a step-by-step description of what we were doing. We bring the deities down, we polish them with tilak and bathe them with Ganga water, and I was good. And he said, he was just nodding and things like that. Then he said, what mantras you're using? And we didn't have any kind of mantras, bija mantras or mula mantras or things like that. So I said, we chant Brahma Gayatri, Prabhupada. We chant the Chintamani prayers. Prabhupada said, good. And then I said, we chant the Gayatri mantra also. Before they started, they would chant Gayatri mantra. We chant Gayatri mantra also. And Gayatri mantra. Om. Om is there. It's Vedic. Very good. Very good. And then I said, then we polish the deity, then we dry the deity, we dry the deities with a cloth. And then I was telling me that then we started to dress. Then Prabhupada, then at that time, he said, you should offer tulsi leaves to Krishna's feet. But according to all the puja manuals, and generally you offer the tulsi after you've offered, you dress the deities and offer scents and flowers. At that time, you will offer tulsi, generally. But Prabhupada said, no, at that time, I took it to mean that here now Krishna, completely naked, just taken bath, and the first offering we do, he has nothing on, nothing. The first offering we offer is Tulasi, who's like Bhakti Devi. We know as Bhakti Devi. That was my understanding. Another time he asked me to write some notes on Shalagram worship. We were the first temple to worship Shalagram in ISKCON, ISKCON temple. And then New York was going to worship, and he called me to his room. Oh, his little side story. He called me to his room. I was just going to do the Rajbhog offering, and I just had my head shaved, and I put 12 tilags on, and I was just going to go on the altar. And I went, and the devotee came running down and said, Prabhupada wants to see you in his room. So I ran upstairs to Prabhupada's room, paid my obeisances. And then Prabhupada was looking at me, and he was kind of glancing over me. He was very, what did I say? He was very, he was very happy to see me like this, in this condition. I think this is, and I wonder what he was looking at. He was looking me up and down, and I thought, to someone else, and then no one else around. And so that from that we gathered, you can please the Guru even by your appearance. A few years ago or months ago, I was wretched, laying in the gutters of this material world, and Prabhupada came, picked us up and put us like this, made us into so-called devotees. And I thought that was my reason again why we don't not that we know Prabhupada, why Prabhupada did what he did or thought what he did, but that was my guess that he was happy to see this transformation from someone he picked out the gutter a few years ago, or months ago. Anyway, I went to his room and I said, "Did you want to see me?" And he said, "Oh yes." He said, "They're worshipping Shalagram. Going to start worshipping Shalagram in New York. So you should write some notes for them. You have some experience. You write some notes for them and give them for New York temple." Yeah.
Wow.
I'll tell you more elaborate later on about the Shalagram if we have time.
Yes, I've noted it. I would love, be lovely for that. And I just want to say for everybody that's joined in today, thank you. We have just over 200 of you from the different platforms that joining in live. This will be also available after as well. So I just want to say to everybody that's online, this is your opportunity. Any questions you want to ask, please do bring them in, and then I will try to bring some of those questions up according to our time, place, and circumstance. So may I just talk now about right now the service of the deities themselves is completely different in terms of the amount of people serving, etc., to what it was back in the days. So could you give us how many people are actually pujaris right now in the temple, and how many people actually are doing the seamstress work and prashadam offering, bhoga, actually cooking the bhoga itself? So how many at the moment in Mayapur Dham itself? What is the team consist of currently?
Approximately, there's about 15 full-time pujaris, probably the same amount part-time. We had about 5 cooks, we have for the Boga, and about we have a not temporary people from outside making the sweets, other devotees in the congregation, so a lot there. In the dressmaking department, we have at least 20 people. The flower garlands making, these 20. We have about 20 gardeners for growing flowers. There's about 100, more or less, on the payroll.
So now the team has grown so much.
So it's Jananivas' anxiety. He said, when I was alone, he said, I was so just happy and absorbed, and something needs to be done. I just did it, so no one else will do it. Now I'm in anxiety. This is going to be done, that's going to be done, and chasing everyone else around to do it. He said it was a more free before when he was doing everything. So it doesn't always, logics don't work on the logistics don't work like that in the spiritual platform.
Anxiety. and it must be because you got you're overseeing all the different runnings of the data department and other aspects, which must not be easy, especially in this time of the COVID times. So we talked about Radha Madhav. Of course, was there any instructions by Srila Prabhupada on what else he would like to see? Okay, the worship with Radha Madhav, because of course we have Panchatattva there as well. So how did those conversations happen as well, that you are aware of?
Not with us, but Prabhupada had a very clear idea about this. The TRVP started to talk about that earlier on, and what deities he wanted there. He wanted the main deities would be Radha Madhava. Prabhupada gave the height. Krishna will be 5'10". Radharani should be 5'4". She'll be made of 5'8". 8.5. You know. And Radharani should be white marble. Krishna should be black.
Yes.
Panchatattva that should be on another altar, gold, 9 feet tall, to their fingertips, and a Guru Parampara altar. So you come when you come into the temple, you go to the Guru Parampara altar, pay your obeisances, and the blessings. With their blessings, you go on to Panchatattva. You get their blessings, and mercy, then you can go on to Radha Madhava and the Ashashakti Vrindavan. Only devotees should come in. Anyone who comes in the temple has to pay their obeisances, otherwise they can't come in. They can go to the planetarium, and no longis in the temple. Atheists. No atheists. So he had that idea from the very beginning. You want to hear how the deities came?
Please, it would be lovely.
After Srila Prabhupada left the planet, then there was a devotee in Calcutta, Marwari, businessman, and he came to the Calcutta temple, spoke with Jayapataka Maharaj and Bhavananda Maharaj at that time, and he said, the night before he had this dream, and a sadhu came to him, and the sadhu said, "You remember me?" He was a young sadhu. Some time ago, you gave me. I asked you to borrow some money. You gave me, and he said, "No. If I give money to a sadhu, that's it. I obviously not going to take it back. It's a donation." So the sadhu said, "You don't know me." He looked again. It was Prabhupada, because he worked in Bora Bazaar, I guess. So he said, "Oh, Swami," he said, "This is." So he said, "How can I serve you?" Prabhupada said, "When now I've left the planet," he said, "there'll be some disturbance for some time, but later on it will all calm down." He says, "I want you to help by arranging for temples and deities for the temples. So he said, what about my family? Prabhupada said, I'll take care of your family. So that was a dream then. And then right after that, he got his luck changed. He became very rich. So then he asked what he could do. And so we said, that's Prabhupada's idea, to have this Radhamada and the Asashakis. So then he gave the donations for that. So then we bought Radhamadava, big Radhamadava from Jaipur. I mean, we had them made. And while they were making the deities, the Stapati said, usually the white marble is twice as soft as the black marble. He said, but in this case, this white marble is very hard. He said, and when we're tapping it, it's such a melodies coming from there. So they're very, very nice deities. In fact, Mr. Bila came there. He's a wealthy man of India, and he saw that Madhava. He said, I want those deities. He said, I can't there for ISKCON. He said, well, I'll give you 1,100,000 rupees more than the price, which was a lot in those days. He said, I can't. He said, I've already pledged to them. And he said, then you make me one exactly the same. He said, I can't do that either. So it's special. So when we came to collect all the deity were finished, and they asked, just give one more final polish. And as they were polishing Krishna, then a white line came. And they said, polish more. And then the white line came all around like a Brahman thread. And also on the forehead, it's like two lines came up, but they went off like that. If you're close, you can see them. And like Tila. So so then Radhamadava came, and they were staying in the Lotus building, and the heads were, just below the ceiling. It's so small. So in the meantime, that Radhapada, that devotee, Mara devotee, he donated also for the new temple here. Not the TRVP, the one they're in now. And 4 gopis came first, and they were installed along with Radhamadava. Is that 86? No. 86, 84. Around that time. And the installation was very wonderful. How they moved to the altar. Only Radhamadava were being worshipped at that time. Then the gopis came. So then we moved them to the altar. So we put sacks underneath the deities, and we just slid them from side to side, like walk them down. Because Krishna weighs 1 ton. He's very heavy, and you should carry them upright, deities. And so you can only get 4 people. So then Krishna was going like this, side to side, sliding down towards his new temple, and Radharani was behind him, and the 4 gopis, it was very enchanting, like dancing to their new temple. So as you know, the temple was very high. It's like two levels of 3 feet, because there's flooding here, so it's made very high. So we thought, how are we going to lift Krishna up there? But amazingly, because only four devotees could lift him, and he went up. Just like everyone was amazed. He became weightless actually when they lifted him up and put him on the altar. And then the other 4 gopis, they came a little later.
Wow. And keeping on the theme of the deities, the questions come in from Milan Madhava Das. He says, Hare Krishna, we see Srila Prabhupada establish Radha Madhava and Gauranga worship during the initial days of ISKCON Mayapur. We see also the same in Saraswat Gaudiya Math, like Yogapit and Chaitanya Math. Is there any specific significance in the worship of Gauranga and then Radha Madhava?
Why he established?
What's the significance of Lord Chaitanya?
Yeah, as far as I can understand, it was to establish this fact, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna, Nayanya. Gauranga Mahaprabhu is Radha and Krishna. They've assumed the form of Gauranga, but it's Radha and Krishna. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur did this. I'm not sure if he was the first one to do it, but all of his temples he established with Radha and Krishna and Gauranga. I think to show this fact, because he wanted the Radha Krishna worship to be introduced in South India. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati and Prabhupada also, he did it. But he wanted it, Radha and Krishna to worship. So it appears for preaching purposes, letting everybody know Gauranga is Radha and Krishna, and he's come to give Radha Krishna prema. Then for this reason, he established in all of his temples Radha Krishna, Gaurgatha sometimes, or Radha Krishna and Gauranga Mahaprabhu, for this fact. Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayan, to let them know the real identity of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So therefore they're all standing on the same level and the same altar. That was one angle.
Thank you. Thank you. And I hope that helped Milan Madhava. I've also got other questions coming. I think just to keeping with question time, it feels like Chudamani Dasi is asking, Hare Krishna, can we hear more about the memorable exchanges Jananivas Prabhu and His Grace Pankanjanghri Prabhu had with Srila Prabhupada? So have you got some other exchanges that maybe individuals haven't heard about that you had with Srila Prabhupada? If you could share, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, Prabhupada taught us how to worship the Shalagram Shila. He said, get some Shalagram Shila from a friend, and we can start worship here. This would be the first ISKCON temple to worship Shalagram Shila. Anyway, Jayapataka Maharaj came with Bhavananda, and they had a Shalagram, and they said, we managed to get one, Prabhupada. And they showed him the Shalagram. Prabhupada immediately picked it up and touched his head to it. And I don't know if Prabhupada knew he was coming with that Shalagram or not, but somehow or another, the Prabhupada started to worship the Shalagram. There was no paraphernalia there or anything, but he said, this is Shalagram Srila. He's none different than Krishna. Anyway, Prabhupada, he got the Srila, then he had some tilak and Archman cup on the table. So he made some tilak, and then he had a matchbox in his desk, and he got a matchstick, and he painted a little face on the Shalagram, little eyes, little nose, little mouth, M-shaped mouth, and he was saying some different things as he was going along. So you should do like this, only you do it nicely, and he put little gopi dots around, and then Prabhupada took off his garland, his own garland he was wearing, and he put it around the Shalagram Shila. And he said you should worship. He said the Brahmanas, they worship a Shalagram. He said the sadhus, they go from one place to another. They go to one place and they open up the Shalagram they have in a bag or a box or something. They open him up and they give some mantras, and then they put him to sleep again and move on. Next time they go to another place, they open up, give some mantras and puja, again close up, And then go on like this. He said, "These are brahmanas. This is Shalagram Shila worship. Mantra, sleeping, mantra, sleeping, mantras." And he started laughing. And then he turned his egg, the tilak container upside down, a little egg cup shape kind of thing. And he had a bit of Jagannatha Maharaj had 2 pieces of cloth from Shantipur, little silk cloth for shalagrams, and Prabhupada folded it like a concertina, and put it on the upside down tilak box. It had a perfect little indentation that the shalagram could sit there and not roll around. And yeah, then the second piece of cloth, and he put it around like a chadar. And then suddenly that garland that Prabhupada had put on the shalagram, it fell down. And Prabhupada said, "Oh, did you see? Did you see? Did you see?" He said, "You know the story of Krishnadas Kaviraj when he went to Madan Mohanji to get permission to write Chaitanamrita? You see? Like that he's accepting my service, you see." So anyway, that was the and Prabhupada did that little puja. He didn't ask for anything. He just whatever was around him, he used and did the whole little puja there. So later on, because Prabhupada was coming every year, every Gaur Purnima, then we had some other shalagrams, some different shalagrams came from different places. So there's a few shalagrams on the altar, and this one had he had a natural, shalagrams have different lakshanas, chakras, and things like that, footprints, and so he had a natural hole. He had a natural mouth there, hole. Whereas in the one he showed me with the tilak, he painted a little seagull shape, a little lemon-shaped mouth. But this one had a natural. He had excuse me. He had a natural mouth with a hole, and so I put the other 2 mouths. Like he had the natural mouth, and I painted the other mouth with the little M-shaped mouth over the other one. So then Prabhupada came every year for Gaur Purnima, and he took darshan of Radha Madhava, and he looked down at the feet and he saw the shalagram was there. And he said, "Why he has a mustache?" And I said, "No, Srila Prabhupada, it's not a mustache." Because there was a hole there and there was another little M shape over it. So it looked like a mouth with a little mustache. I said, "It's not a mustache, Prabhupada, it's his mouth." He said, "No, Krishna doesn't have a mustache." I said, "No, I wanted to copy as you said you shouldn't. No, you don't give Krishna a mustache. Krishna doesn't wear a mustache." Prabhupada ki.
Yeah. That's amazing. And Pankanjanghri, yeah, please.
Concerning Radha Madhava, Prabhupada said they should stay here in Mayapur, they should not leave. Later on in that year, 1972, they were, or 74, in Hyderabad, they were making a new temple and project there, and Prabhupada had a big program. And the devotees said, "What deities we have?" I think there's only 2 deities, temples in ISKCON at that time, Bombay and Mayapur, and I think then Hyderabad, Calcutta, and Hyderabad. And so they said, "Let's take Radha Madhava from Mayapur, because no one's going to Mayapur anyway. It's completely, nobody goes there. It doesn't go anywhere. It's in between 2 rivers." And so let's take Radha Madhava, and because they're quite good size, and everybody can see them. Otherwise, we won't have any deities. So they took, and they said, "Well, Jananivas, you can worship these small Radha Gopinath, about 3 or 4 inches high. While we do this program, you can worship Radha Gopinath here from Calcutta, very small deity, but no one's coming anyway." So then Srila Prabhupada, one other thing just before that, when Prabhupada was making his he wanted a Harinam world party, Sankirtan world party to travel around the world, and he was really getting into it at one time. So we said, we'll start in India. And they did that program in India, and it was a big success, huge success. Prabhupada and all the Western Vaishnavas, first time they've seen that Western people, devotees chanting Hare Krishna. It's a big success. They got back to Calcutta temple after the tour. And Prabhupada said, now the deities should stay here, Radha Madhava should stay, they should not leave. So then they went to Mayapur, and Prabhupada, when the devotee said, we can take back to Calcutta, the deity said, no, they should stay here. Now they're here, they should stay here. So then he went to Hyderabad and saw Radha Madhava. Who are the deities? They said, it's Radha Madhava, Srila Prabhupada. He said, from Mayapur? He said, yes, Srila Prabhupada. He said, I told you those deities should not leave Mayapur. Now when they go back, they should stay there, they should not leave again. So this is all historical, it's significant. Because Jayadeva Goswami, the great poet, he was living here in Mayapur, Palaldigi at the Pritukund, just by Chaitanya. He was the court pundit for King Lakshman Sen at that time. This was a few hundred years before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. But Jayadeva Goswami made this prediction, or he wrote something, I heard he wrote something, that and describing how here in Mayapur, this is a special place, a city will appear here, and beautiful deities will appear here. And the names of those deities will be known as Radha Madhava. So it's historical, Radha Madhava ki jai. Prabhupada knew that. Oh, what I was going to say in that, when they were on that tour, and when they were in Halalabad, maybe Gorakhpur also, Prabhupada first was chanting this Jai Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari, the famous song, and he went into an ecstasy for some moments, one of those pin drop silence, and afterwards it became external again, and he said, this song Radha Madhava it's a picture of Vrindavan. Radha Madhava is there, Jamuna is there, Govardhan is such a nice song. From that time on, we like to consider that was the installation of Radha Madhava. So that was the name giving ceremony. Prabhupada named them Radha Madhava, and from that time on, he chanted every morning practically before Bhagavatam class, and then he told not to when they went to Calcutta. So Prabhupada knew. Prabhupada knew. He knew that particular. This was a couple of hundred years before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yeah, so these deities are historical. They're the deities of the presiding deities for the next 10,000 years of the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. Jai Radha Madhava ki jai.
Thank you so much. Pankanjanghri Prabhu, is there any specific pastime you recall that you would like to share about Srila Prabhupada?
With me, not much. I only, one time I used to be in charge of cleaning the building, the Lotus building, and I was also ashram teacher. We had 6 boys, and so they used to help me. And I told them, you go and put water on the floor on the 3rd floor. I'll bring the squeegees, and then we'll squeegee the water around. And so third floor in Bengal is 2nd floor in India.
Okay.
We have a ground floor, they have first. So when I came up there, so they put water all around the Prabhupada's floor, and he was taking rest at that time. So I went, no, what have you done? No. So then I was just really gently going around and squeezing the water, and I was just going out to Prabhupada's room, and then he stepped out the door. And he looked, and then he spoke, but he kind of spoke to himself. He said, oh, why he is doing that? They can't find anyone else to do that? And I said, I'm not Srila Prabhupada, I'm not Jananivas, Srila Prabhupada. Because I wasn't. I don't know. I don't think I was actually doing the puja then. And he went back inside. So I told Jananivas, I said, Prabhupada's got us confused. He thought I was you. Jananivas chastised me. Don't think your spiritual master is suffering from imperfect senses like you. But that was it. I thought, otherwise, why would he say that? I was a cleaner. Yeah. And then another little incident was because we used to stand guard duty to see that Prabhupada wasn't disturbed. We just sit on a chair on top of the stairs. And so I was sitting there, and then you could hear Prabhupada chant. You could hear his beads click very loudly. And then I was looking down like towards Prabhupada's door. He came out the other side of the room, and he came around the other veranda, and then he walked up to me. Of course, I didn't see him. I was looking the other way. Then I turned around, and Prabhupada was standing there, and so I became, froze. Prabhupada was a very powerful person. he just demanded that, and there was a great. He put up a very great presence of awe, sometimes. So then I kind of froze. I just didn't know what to do, and I was sitting with one leg across my knee, and I had some injury on my ankle, but I sit like that anyway. And then I didn't say anything. I didn't know what to do. Prabhupada said, you shouldn't sit before your spiritual master like that. Huh? One leg across, one ankle on your knee when you're sitting on the chair. I said, no, Sir Prabhupada, I don't know anything about this culture. So then I hopped down and paid my obeisances, and he saw I had a bandage on my ankle. He said, oh, you have an infection? I said, yes, Sir Prabhupada. I said, then that's all right. That's all right. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing. And there's some devotees asking just about your early days, both of you, because we talked about you're from Barnet, but we haven't talked about how you came into Krishna consciousness. And Sukh Krishna, Sukh in some languages means happiness, so happy Krishna. He says, Hare Krishna, what made you both join ISKCON in the first place? Did you both join together? And why did you make the choice to go to Mayapur and not stay in the UK? So that's from Drona and Sukhdev. Thank you for that question.
Hare Krishna. I came to India in I think probably 1969. 1968. I wanted something mystical. So I thought I go to Istanbul. It seems like mystical. They have all the wailing and the robes, and I thought that would be a mystical place. Somehow or another, I ended up in India for a few months. Then I went back to England, and then I kind of had a philosophical change in life. I think I must have met some sadhu or something unknown by its activity, but anyway, I had a philosophical change of life, and I wanted to find the truth. I was actually experiencing the presence of the Lord, and for some time. And then I thought, we have to, find out what is this, and what is life all about. So I said to Pankanjanghri, let's go to the Holy Land. He said, well, Jerusalem. I said, forget Jerusalem. India is the place to be there. So then we came, what time? 1970, we came together again to India, and traveled around about a year in India. I was, about a year, meeting sadhus and different just traveling all the time and meetings. And then I saw the devotees in Puri. There was a festival there going on. It was Rath Yatra festival. I didn't know what it was, but I had a pamphlet and said there's a festival in Puri. We were just coming up from Cape Comorin. And I said, Pankanjanghri, let's go and have a look. He said, no, I'm not going. He said, I went there before, but I got a bad time. So I said, okay, I'm going to have a look. So I jumped off the train and Prabhupadas went down to Jagannatha Kirtanananda, and it happened to be Rath Yatra, and the devotees were there in the street with other countless devotees, I mean, ISKCON devotees. Now, I'd seen them a couple of times in London. They used to do the nightclubs. They were popular in the nightclubs, the chant. But I never asked them any question. And, well, I specifically remember they told me he was Mukunda, and he was saying how we do everything for the one, we do everything for the one. And I thought, what's the difference between these group and the others? We're all into the one, getting into. Anyway, that was Mukunda. I think he was trying to be a bit cool because I guess his audience is middle of the night, right? Everyone's stoned, and so I saw the devotees. I thought it was my chance to ask a question because I've been asked. I had a lot of questions to answer. And so I went to the devotees and I said, why are you chanting Krishna's names and Rama's names? According to Hindu philosophy, my own speculation, according to Hindu philosophy, then you come to the point of Vishnu, Brahman, Vishnu, Mahesh, then that's it. That's the topmost thing in Hinduism. So why don't you chant Krishna's name? Why are you chanting Vishnu, Mahesh, and well, why not chant Krishna's name? Why are you chanting Krishna's name? And he said to me, we chant Krishna's name because Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. And boom, it just struck me. Like, well, gee, nobody ever told me that before. I've been meeting so many sadhus in the past year. Nobody ever told me God was a person before. Yes. So then I had Bhagavad Gita. I had a couple of Bhagavad Gitas, not Prabhupada's, Pankanjanghri. And I would open them on the same page, trying to understand, but I was only getting a headache. But when they showed me Prabhupada's Gita and started preaching to me, well, all my questions were completely answered, and I was satisfied. Everything was, I accepted immediately Krishna consciousness. I was so happy. I felt, great relief after traveling around me and hearing that what is the truth, what is the absolute truth, so easily acceptable. And so I was so happy. I didn't think I'd become a Krishna conscious. I didn't even know what it was. I just met them in the street. But they said, I said, I'm going to Benares to see my brother. He said, you're going through Calcutta, we got a temple there. Just have a look. Okay. So I went to the temple in Calcutta and, that was it.
He never came home for 40 years. He never went back home for 40 years after he went in that temple.
40 years.
The Hari's got it.
Well, we do see Pankanjanghri Prabhu come to UK from time to time, but yes, we haven't seen so much of Jananivas Prabhu. So, but thank you for sharing these nectarian pastimes. And Pankanjanghri Prabhu, of course, you followed after your brother was gone to Mayapur. But what about yourself? What was it for you that made you join to Krishna consciousness?
My brother. Because while he was in Calcutta, I was waiting for him in Benares. There was no emails, faxes, or cell phones then.
No.
So I came in the room where I was staying, and I was sitting there. But he was wearing saffron and shaved head. And I didn't recognize him because he had his back to me. But I noticed he was very effulgent. I thought, wow, there's a sadhu in our room. What's the sadhu doing in our room? And then he turned around and carried on. What happened? And he stayed about a week. He preached to me. I couldn't understand very much, I must admit. We were heavily Mayavadi influenced. I had two gurus, other Mayavadi gurus, while I was in India. And yeah, so then that would have been 71. Yeah, then I was going back to the west. And I thought, why go back? It's the end of the year. Why not stay here for the winter? So then I went down to Goa for the winter, living on the beach. And then I went to see Jananivas in Calcutta. By that time he was in Mayapur, moved to Mayapur. So then I came to Mayapur. That was just after Gaur Purnima was 72. The panel was still up, and yeah, it was. I like Mayapur, beautiful place. Water, when you took a bath under the pump, the water would come out and be like rainbows coming out. And wow, where are we? The kids with big lights in the eye. And yeah, I used to have a lot of arguments with the devotees. They thought I came to take Jananivas back.
Right.
There was a rumor that my parents had sent me to take, but I was already in India. Anyway, I used to argue, especially with one Swami, and I remember arguing with another Swami, but I don't remember. Jananivas told me Tamal Krishna Maharaj came, so we had an argument. So then Tamal Krishna Maharaj came out. I said to Tamal Krishna Maharaj, look, he says he's closer to God than me. What do you think? What do you say about that? He said, don't worry about anyone else, how close they are. You just worry how close you're getting to God. And I found, of course, I couldn't defeat their arguments. They always puffed up, and I thought, I'll have to learn this philosophy, then I can get them, you know. So Krishna tricked me. So I stayed probably about a week or so. Then I went back. But when I got back again, I found that I was quite a different person, and I couldn't slot back into that kind of life I came from. So I found myself visiting the temple and staying for the weekend, and gradually just staying longer in the temple than at home, and the gradual transition, chanting Hare Krishna, offering my food, making it prasadam, associating with devotees, going on Sankirtan, and then yeah, just I didn't want to become a Hare Krishna per se. I didn't want to give up my so-called freedom, but I like the devotees, I like the philosophy, I like everything about it, but somehow or other I didn't want to give up my independence spirit. But I had some pretty telling dreams. One of them was, Jananivas and I, we were walking in India, I guess. It was an arid country, and we had an old guide, Prabhupada. He didn't look like Prabhupada, but he was guiding us, and we came to this stream. Wasn't very big, wasn't very big. It was about 20 feet across. So he said, look, I'm taking your brother on my back. I'm taking him across, and I'll come back and take you across. So he gets Jananivas on the back, and he's walking, he's going across the river. So I said, no problem. I said, I can come myself. He said, no, you wait. I will come and take you. I said, really? It's not a problem. I can easily cross this thing. He said, no, you wait. I'll bring you. So I said, come on, you're an old man. I can dive in the water, come up and touch the other side. It's not really no problem. He said, no, I'll bring you across. So I said, no, don't bother yourself, old man. So I dive in the water. I come up in the middle. I start swimming. I couldn't get there. And I was really going for it. And I thought, it's getting exhausted. I can't do it. I just can't get there. So I realized I'm not going to do it. So they're trying to come back. I couldn't get back. Then I found myself, the current was carrying me out the midstream. And then I woke up from the dream. Then I thought, okay, you need a guru. Got to have a guru. So like that. I gradually about 18 months took took me about 18 months to
come in.
move into the
After some amazing dreams, it was like the light bulb moment.
and some amazing experiences with Prabhupada.
Please, I was just looking. I think we need to have more sessions on this, especially because your pastimes. There's so many amazing pastimes that you're sharing, and an hour has just gone, just like that, as time does fly, as they say. But I want to just bring, if it's okay to speak about that. Both of you dedicated your lives to Sri Mayapur Dham, to Srila Prabhupada, to the deities. And we all find you as such inspirations. And it's just for us all in the Krishna conscious movement, I'm sure I speak for everyone online, it's an absolute honor and pleasure to actually have your association. And on this basis, Varshana Das is asking, what I was also thinking was, could you give any advice for the young pujaris of the future in ISKCON? How we can take it forward, and any pearls of wisdom you could share with us?
Come to Mayapur Academy.
Mayapur Academy, yes.
No, we have everything you say. The philosophy is the greatest philosophy. So more or less, Prabhupada has saved our lives. So we're actually indebted to Prabhupada.
So just give one life. Just give this life to Krishna. There's so many lives. Just give this one, see what happens.
That's it. Give this one life to Krishna. We have so many lives. Give this one life.
I have the Sringa Kavachar Prabhu who's in charge of Mayapur Academy. He always he pushes it. He asked me to tell this story. We were in the Bhajan Kutir and the 1972 Kirtanananda Maharaj was there. He was reading Chaitanya Bhagavat and he was reading Haridas Thakur's being beaten through the marketplaces, 22 marketplaces. And so the Qazi was the Qazi, he said, if we'll beat you up, we'll cut your body into 1,000 pieces, and if you maintain this low-class Hindu religion. So Haridas Thakur said, you may cut my body into thousands of pieces if you like, but as long as there is one fiber of energy left in my body, I will not stop to chant the holy name. And it kind of struck me as such a wonderful prayer. And I ran to Radha Madhava and I made that prayer to them that as long as there is one fiber of energy left in my body, I will not stop to serve you, Radha Madhava. So this is the what we can get from the Acharyas examples, even though it's 500 years ago, we can get these instructions from the Acharyas. So like that, more or less our standard was like that. Yasatmaka buddhira kiha kurunandana bhavu shakyananta shakatayoga shayanam, that we put the orders of our spiritual master, we make it our life and soul. And Prabhupada said that when he heard this from Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur's Bhagavad Gita, Vyasatmaka Buddhiya verse, Prabhupada said, it struck me also. He said, it struck me, and I remember my Guru Maharaj's instructions to me. And so, like that, I made the my life and soul to execute the order of my spiritual master. And Prabhupada, it was a success story for Prabhupada. He dedicated his life to distribute the teachings of his spiritual master, the order of his spiritual master.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Apologies, I think the electricity in Mayapur Dham has just come off. I'm just checking if they are on. It has come off. I think what we'll try and do is hopefully we can try to get them back on another date. But thank you everybody for joining today. Really so amazing to speak to His Grace Pankanjanghri Prabhu and Jananivas Prabhu and find their stories of their memories of Srila Prabhupada. And if anybody would like to help in Srila Mayapur Dham, you heard about the Mayapur Academy. Check it out. Just go to ISKCON Mayapur. And also, if you would like to also support in this COVID crisis time, then please do check out the website and see how you can be of service. And I just want to say Hare Krishna to everyone for joining. And please tune in next week. We will be soon releasing to you. So keep watch out of who we have on next week. So on that basis, thank you and Hare Krishna.